though. AFC North, big battle. Baltimore Ravens 1-0 had a nice, smooth victory there against Houston Texans. Bengals did not show up coming to Cleveland, got beat up bad. And if that's the case, that same Bengals team shows up here in Cincinnati, Ravens can have another easy win. But this is probably the hardest game for me to pick, and would probably potentially game of the week. Um, this one I don't know. I think I'm gonna go Bengals because I think they need it more. They got to prove something. You can't have two big losses to divisional rivals back to back. They see each other again here week 11. So not the quickest turnaround, middle of the season, back into the middle of the season, but so it'll be a little bit, and they need it. They need this win. They can't have two divisional rivals back to back losses against them. So I'm gonna go Bengals here.
Yeah, I mean, it's really tough. Taking a look at the the injury report here, Mark Andrews still limited participation. Marlon Humphreys did not play. Linderbaum did not practice. These guys are not out. Ronnie Stanley did not practice, and Marcus Williams did not practice. These guys are not out, but they did not practice, and the ones who did practice were limited. Joe Burrow full practice. Daxton Hill full practice. So a lot of the guys, Cameron Sample, Logan Wilson, limited practice. I don't think that this is going to end up determining my pick. I think it's interesting, though. I don't think Burrow and the Bengals bounce back this week. I think Ravens keep it moving. I think Baltimore ends up edging this one out. I'm going to take Baltimore. I like that Zay Flowers kid, man, what I've seen out of him. Plus, Odell Beckham was getting some penalties called on him. Defensive backs are terrified again. He's on the field. It's really crappy that they keep dealing with this running back issue. They just can't find a guy. Like, this is just absolutely ridiculous. I swear it seems like it's like 4 years in a row now that they're just literally just caving before the season starts. It's ugly. I really like the running back position, and I hope they end up getting somebody to fill this role, because this would just stink if they have to be one-dimensional again. It doesn't matter Odell Beckham's out there. It doesn't matter it's Justin Jefferson. If you're one-dimensional, this is what makes it so important to have a running back and a running game moving forward, so that you're not one-dimensional, and it's a little bit harder for defenses to key in on you, and they got to respect both sides of the ball. They can't just flood the box or drop everybody back. I'm going to take Baltimore. It's going to be a banger because it's an individual game. I think Baltimore edges one out. I just don't know the Cincinnati Bengals yet.
Yeah, you make a good case for why the running back is important, and you can see it plain as day when you look at the Baltimore Ravens, because if they did have a stud back there week in, week out over the past couple of seasons, that takes some pressure off Lamar right there. And yeah, the air attack's a little bit better. These two teams, when I look at them, man, it's a multitude of conflicting things. I look at the Bengals on one side; they gave up 200 yards on the ground to the Browns last week, and they were playing in the same sloppy conditions as the Bengals were, and they managed to move the ball, and they managed to score points. The Bengals just could not connect on anything. And then I look at the Ravens, and Lamar was not stellar. Zay Flowers was stellar, but a lot of that was run after the catch. Getting Andrews back looks pretty promising at this point in the week. Obviously, we're doing the show. It's Wednesday. A lot can change before kickoff. I would probably count him towards being in. That'll be much needed. Running back by committee with the Ravens, and Lamar's a threat to run the ball still. I think he had like 40 yards against the Texans. They didn't need to do a whole lot of the new offense, whatever that ends up being, because they were in control of that game pretty much all the way through. But the secondary still feels like it's got issues. CJ Stroud threw for 242 on them. There were no interceptions. They did get pressure, though. That's the part that concerns me with the Bengals. Ravens had 5 sacks of CJ last week, and controlled the run game. So Mixon is like the key factor for Cincinnati for me on them winning this game. It's going to be tough. I like the Ravens getting the 3.5 points. I think I'll take the Ravens to win 2, but it is a really toss-up game. But if I was going to bet it, I'd give me the 3.5 points with the Ravens. but I'll go Baltimore on the straight win as well.
Yeah, I
I
think
got to
it's
see him protect Burrow.
yeah.
And
True.
it's an issue.
I just think it's really interesting because I could be wrong on. They either drafted Blue Kelly or they signed Blue Kelly
Ravens
from
drafted.
undrafted rookie free agent. But then they cut him and let him go, and Seattle picked him up. So I thought that it was interesting that you said that they were bleeding like a sieve that first week, and literally the report was, why did they cut the young talented rookie defensive back? They said they cut him because they were perfect and had all the talent they needed at defensive back. To be interesting moving forward to see,
Interesting.
because I know that they've been a sieve at that position for a while now.
Yeah, and Marlon Humphreys, I believe, is banged up as well. So, and I think Marcus Williams is banged up to the point where he's not going to play. So that does play into
Yeah.
the hands of the Bengals. I don't expect the same kind of performance out of Joe Burrow. I don't think any of y'all do either.
No, absolutely not.
But divisional game, these teams play each other hard. It's going to be a tight one, and I agree
For
with
sure.
Yeah.
Brady. Borderline game of the week.
Yeah, I mean that was basically my entire argument. Just the fact that I think that Cincinnati needs this win. I mean, just looking at these two teams and how they performed, it's Ravens hands down. They were the more well-rounded team, but I just for some reason in me, I think the Bengals need this. They need to prove something. They need to just wipe
Yeah, this
away
is
week one and say, hey, this is our week. This is our week one. Starting fresh now.
I agree. It's a big week for the Bengals, definitely.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that when you look at the Baltimore Ravens, J.K. Dobbins went down. Here's your little fantasy question here, gentlemen. You got J.K. Dobbins goes down for the season. It's over and done with. Is this a Gus Edwards, Melvin Gordon, Justice Hill, Keontae Mitchell type thing, or do you think potentially Melvin Gordon can edge it out and be the starter here? Do you think Gus has earned it? I mean, they're talking about year 6 guy, year 9 guy.
I think it's another thing where this is a committee type of situation. Maybe they do end up making a move if somebody becomes available, midway through the season and they're still playing Russian roulette at running back. Yeah, I think you got to if you're Baltimore. I think you got to make a move because I don't think that starting bell cow is on your roster. I
Yeah,
like Gus
yeah.
a lot, and
Yeah.
Justice Hill adds a nice dynamic, but I don't think he's on the roster
I
right
would
now.
love to on some Madden stuff right here. I would love to see Keontae Mitchell out of East Carolina at least get some touches in this game to just see where he's at, and if there's athleticism that he has that can make a play and do something for this Ravens offense. I'd like to see it.
How about you,
Yeah.
Brady?
I mean, just going based off last week, I mean, they basically handed it over to Gus, and then when it came to goal line, they just gave it to Hill or tried to do something fancy with Lamar. So I think if I'm going my flex position risk, I'm going to take Justice Hill for the hoping that he gets goal line work again.
I think I'd
No
go
doubt.
Gus. If I had to choose, I'd go Gus Edwards just because of his track record's longer than Justice Hill.
Well, I'm
Sure.
I'm a maniac, and so I picked up Melvin Gordon. So my final answer is going to be Melvin Gordon.
All right, let's move on.